What's up out there? Welcome to the channel. We are here to look at the Steam Deck. I'm going to bring this thing out of the case here in a minute, kind of go over it a little bit. I thought about doing an unboxing on it. I did that for my Valve Index and I thought, nah, plenty of people have done that. Just want to do hopefully a quick video and just run through my thoughts on it real fast. And is it as cool as everybody thought it was going to be? I kind of had high hopes for it. So the first thing I would like to mention is that I do not own a Nintendo Switch. And the reason I don't own one, and the reason that's actually important to this conversation, is why I don't own one. I love Nintendo. I've been playing Nintendo games since the regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. But they've kind of gone into that ecosystem thing like Apple does, where you have to be in their ecosystem. You can pretty much only play their games and you can only play what's in their library. You have to pay for the network and all that stuff. From what I gather, I don't know. I haven't bothered with it. It just never sounded intriguing to me. Now, what really sold me on getting a Steam Deck is that this is your Steam library on the go. Now, I don't know how they're going to pull this off because it has to run on Linux, Proton, whatever you call that. I know Linux is the operating system and Proton is like the layer that runs it, but however you want to identify whatever this runs, I think this is an awesome way to do this. I never had a Steam machine. I didn't ever own one of those back in the day. I always kind of wanted to, but it didn't seem like they were quite there with everything. And this is really here now. So the reason I was all over this is because I have a decent sized Steam library. And if I can play a lot of the games, like I'm in this room a lot, and I hate being in this room all the time. Like I'd love to go out and sit on the couch or lay in bed or something. And I don't really feel like building a PC for out in the living room and laying in bed. I mean, yeah, you can build a PC for back there and throw a TV in and maybe or a monitor or whatever and a controller, but I just don't feel like it. This thing here gives you the ability to take this on vacations. I mean, you could take it for lunch at work if you work from an office. You could take it out to the couch. You can take it out to the girlfriend's house. You go lay in bed before you go to sleep. You know what I mean? Like, this is very flexible and it's your Steam library. And that's why I was so keen on getting this and not really interested in the Switch. So I love the concept of the Switch, but I just didn't care for, it was just locked into that Nintendo stuff. So what you get in the box is basically three things. You get this case, which is really nice. This is a good hard case. You get a power adapter, and this is the same adapter that I have on my Android phone. It's one of these, I don't know what they are, the newer USB CD, whatever we're on these days. Make the little zippy noise here. And then once you get inside, you get the actual Steam Deck itself. So one of the things that, I guess you get a little wiper for the front of it. But one of the things that I wanted to show is this thing is powered off. You hit the power button, it will ding a little bit and then it will power on. And just basically showing off how quickly it starts. It's not a terribly long loading process, and I pretty much leave mine powered off. I have not really had much time to play with this thing a whole lot. Let's see here. Loading up. It takes, I don't know, maybe a minute to start this thing off, 30 seconds or something like that. It's fairly quick. So by the time I turn this thing on, it's ready to go. So there we are. I have loaded up a few games and I've been tinkering with this here and there. I don't know how many hours I've put on this, maybe 6 or 8 so far. I've played a lot of Vampire Survivors. One of the things that I really wanted out of this was to play platformers, stuff like Valfaris, not necessarily a platformer, but Vampire Survivors. What do I have on this thing? Installed to this, like Axiom Verge, Blasphemous, Bloodstained. I've got the Castlevania collection and the Contra collection. I was really looking forward to those. Cuphead, not really my thing. It's really difficult, but I got that on here. The Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. I picked that up on a Humble Bundle a while back. Then there's stuff like Dead Cells, Dead Rising. You can play Dead Rising on here. I played that on the original Xbox, or the Xbox 360. I take that back. Dead Space works on here. There's this old game called Enslaved Odyssey to the West. That was a killer game that I think I played that on the the 360 also, and I'm really looking forward to playing that again. The Ghostbusters remaster, of course, Hades is on here. I threw Elden Ring on, like Ni no Kuni, Legend of Grimrock. I put Nightmare Reaper on here. It's a first-person shooter. I am so out of touch with playing on a controller, a first-person shooter on a controller. I thought I'd give it a try. It works, but it's interesting, different. Outward, I've been wanting to play Outward for a while. It's like a third-person role-playing game. And then just a variety of other things. I got like RimWorld, Project Zomboid, Strider. It's a side-scroller type game. And Victor Vran, it's like a Diablo-style game. So I put a variety of things on here. And I was really curious, mostly, to see some of the things. I wanted to see how they played. You know, how does the concept work? I'm hearing great things about a lot of these games. There are things that I don't have installed, like I'm looking at my list here. They have like Ark and Apex Legends and Alien Isolation. I'm not sure I would install those myself, but I don't really care to play first-person shooters on a gamepad. But anything that's side scroller or maybe a third-person shooter or something like that, I am all about. And the ability, like I said, that's the big draw for me, is the ability to play some of these games that I would not necessarily sit here and play on my main rig. I'd be playing other stuff, multiplayer things online, whatever, where I could sit down and play through some of these story modes on this thing. And I think that is where the absolute power of this is. So, first impressions. The very first thing that I would say is this feels fairly well built. It doesn't, I mean, it's plastic, but it doesn't feel like it's going to fall off and break. Mine has had no issues so far. The volume controls and everything are pretty easy to reach. I'm not a paddle person. There's paddles on the back. I've never had a gamepad that had them. So I don't really know the difference of what I'm getting. The gamepads are okay. The regular controls, like this is basically an Xbox or a PlayStation controller that's just stretched out, and that's kind of where it's at. It's not necessarily as ergonomic as, you know, like the PlayStation controller's got a little bit more of an angle to it, to set your hands a little bit. This is kind of straight. No big deal. It does get a little bit warm. The power does kind of go away real quickly, like depending on what I'm playing. What I really need to do, I was talking to a friend of mine. He was saying that, you know, lower the screen brightness and maybe change some things in some settings here and there for the games, for the resolutions and stuff, and drop some things a little bit. I need to go do that because the battery life is not great. But when you figure that you're holding a PC in your hands, I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of neat. So the battery life is forgivable. You can also get like power banks and stuff, or some kind of battery charger. I need to see what he used. I think he said what it was at one point, but he went on vacation and plugged the thing in. He's loved it, you know, with the power little battery he bought and everything. I have added an SD card to it. I wasn't going to. This is the 512. This is the big one. I figured I was going to get the biggest one they could, and that way it would just hold whatever I wanted. And it's like 500 and some gig, I think. But I bought a 1 terabyte hard drive, or 1 terabyte, SD card on Prime Day. I looked at Prime. I was looking through my list of stuff, and they never really have anything I want, but they happen to have my SD card on sale that he had bought. And I did some research before I picked mine out, and the one I bought was like $100. So it's a 1 terabyte card. It's a SanDisk 1 terabyte micro SD XC or whatever it is. And the reason I picked that one, it's this UHS 1 instead of UHS 2 or 3. I think he got the 3. From what I understand, I'm so out of touch with hardware anymore. I used to keep up with everything, and that was 20 years ago, and now I'm lost. But from what I understand, this UHS 1 is like the very basic SD card communication specification or something like that. So it's the slowest speed possible. And like he had bought a higher tier card and spent more money on it, but the Steam Deck won't use that speed. So I got this one, and instead of paying $150, I got it for $100. So it's same size card. It just doesn't work as fast, but it's not going to because the bus speed is not the same. You know what I mean? Those higher tier cards are backwards compatible, but you're paying more to use less. So I was like, the hell with it. I'll just stick with the regular 1 terabyte simple card. And that's what I've got in there. Now, once you put this in there and format it, the Steam Deck will automatically default your installation location to that new spot. If you're used to Steam on PC, you can actually tell it which, like I have multiple hard drives and I put things on different, certain things on this drive, certain things on that drive. Because I've got an SSD and an NVMe and I like different speeds of things, whatever, the fastest stuff is on the stuff that multiplayer things that need to load quicker on this. Point being is on the Steam Deck, you don't get to choose. You can tell it what the default is, but when you're going to install a game here on PC, you would normally just say, put this one and it asks you where you want to install it to, and you select that. On the Steam Deck, it defaults to one. And if you install a new drive, it defaults to that new drive. So my 1 terabyte storage is now my default. And you can change that and you can move stuff around inside once you get it there. But the default becomes whatever the new drive is unless you change it. So a little nuance to that, which I thought was, I don't know how I like that or not. Makes it easy. I don't have to select anything. I can just say download and let it go. One of the other things that is kind of annoying about this, they don't have background downloads yet for whatever reason. So you have to leave the screen on to actually download something. And when I downloaded Elden Ring, that's a pretty good sized download. I just threw it on the charger because it needed charged and it just stayed on the whole time. I don't know if it times out. I haven't paid attention to that. But if you're downloading smaller games, they obviously go quick enough. You can also set it to download while you're playing, so you can do something else, but it drains your battery life a little bit quicker. So you're downloading this massive game while you're playing something else, and your battery just tanks. Now, I have not played this thing plugged into the wall. You don't really get, I don't know if it shows up on the camera, but I'm not moving my hands that much further out. What is this, a 4-foot cable, 5-foot cable? It's not that big of a cable. So you can't really get away from the wall that far. And I can't really get away far enough to where I would be comfortable sitting on a couch or laying in bed or something like that. Hell, even sitting here, I'd have to have, I don't know. It's not long enough to get away from it. So I basically have to go play. And then once it's drained down a little bit, go charge it. So I haven't really had long gaming sessions with it. The other thing too, is I pick it up, today for half an hour and then a couple days later for half an hour. So I don't really charge it every time. And, I may have 70% charge today, but then 30% charge after I'm done with the couple days from now. So when I do have time to play on it, I've already burned it down and I need to reload it, recharge it. So battery life is not necessarily great, but it's amazing for what you get, really. I don't know if I think I was starting to get there. The screen on this is very nice size. This is a very big screen. Like if you were to look at a tablet, this is probably a 7-inch tablet, something like that, comparatively speaking. The problem is this is a very small monitor. So if you catch what I'm saying, it's a very large screen for a mobile device, but it's a very small version of a monitor. So if you're playing a video game and you're used to it being big on your screen and all the text is nice and easy to read and all that, and then you shrink it down to this, it makes it a little more difficult to read things and see things. And it's not bad. This has got a really nice, clean, crisp look to it. You can definitely read a lot of things, but it's a lot smaller. So if you're getting a little older or having tired eyes after sitting and stare at your computer all day, it is a little bit difficult. So it's a very nice, generous screen, but it's very small at the same time, if you catch my drift. Now, one of the things that they have done, and they did a demo of it, or one of the betas, Steam client betas, they have this, whether it's verified on the deck or playable on the deck, and they've got different, green check marks for verified, yellow for playable, and then there's like untested and stuff like that. So you can it creates this dynamic collection, and I can actually look at all the games that are verified for the deck. I can change this collection to show the ones that are playable. And then there's proton.db or something like that. It tells you what games people have tested that aren't on the approved list. And they'll tell you whether they work or not, or what they have to do to get around certain things. I haven't played anything that's not on. I've stuck to the green verified stuff so far, just because, like I said, I haven't really had much time to play with it, and I wanted to stick with a good experience and not have to try to figure something out or make changes or whatever. So I've just kind of stuck with that. And everything I've played has been very well. I mean, it is amazing that I'm sitting here playing some of these games like Elden Ring. I turned it on. I didn't go very far, but Elden Ring felt great. It felt just like my PC here. I don't have anything high end. In fact, this is getting on in years. Not a friend of mine, he's got a 3090 in his card, or in his machine. So he was complaining that Elden Ring didn't perform as well. And I'm like, well, this performs as well as it does on my regular machine. So that was pretty cool. And I like how they have their list. Like they have the check marks. If you go into your library, let's see if I do all games, and I select something here. Well, this one's got a yellow check mark, but it shows, if I can get that on here, it shows the little yellow mark on there. Some of these will come up. Oh, I'm filtered by, let me change my filter here. All games. So some of them have like this little question mark on them down here. Probably not coming through very well. But it's on the deck itself. It gives you a very easy visual indication of whether the game is going to work or not, or I shouldn't say that. It gives you a very easy indication whether somebody has checked whether it works great or not. And you can actually look at this on your normal Steam on your machine. You can come in here and look at that and see whether it's going to play or not. And like I can look at my library here and I can say, ooh, I want to go play that. And then I can go look and see if it's verified or not. And like I've got this dynamic collection set for verified on the deck. And this thing adds about a game every day or so. I can't remember what it was. It was where I first got it, but it's been adding almost a game a day, almost. Let's see here. Oh, and they've also added the ability to go into your wish list, and you can actually look at things in your wish list and say whether you are looking, like whether it's deck verified or playable. You can actually sort by things in your wish list there. So if you see something pop up on sale, like we had that big Steam sale, I went through there and looked at the list and I said, hey, cool, here's this and whatever. And you can pick the stuff that you want to purchase there or keep an eye out for it to go on sale. So that's pretty cool too. Let us see here. That's kind of about as far as I've gotten with this. I really like this thing. It sounds good. Like the audio quality is pretty decent. I fired up the Ghostbusters game and was playing that a little bit. I don't really remember the game. I played it a long time ago, but the audio quality on this, I'm listening to the guys talk and do their little cinematic, little scenes that were going through there. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. I'm listening to it in stereo and it didn't sound blown out or horrible or anything. I'm playing Vampire Survivors. And if you've ever played that game, there's like a million things going on and all this different audio stuff queuing off and doing different things. That sounded really good. The game plays fine. I've played a lot of that. I don't remember what all I've played on this exactly. Oh, I'd have to dig through my list to look, but like I've tried some of the platformers out. Yeah, Dead Cells I played a little bit of. I really dug that. I mean, I've played Dead Cells on my PC, but I actually played it on here. It felt really good. There's certain games that I really want to play on here that aren't on the approved list yet, verified list. So I haven't quite gotten to those yet. But I mean, I'm looking through some of this stuff and there's some really solid games that I've been wanting to play. And it's going to be cool to be able to sit down and play on those. Like Moons of Madness. I think that's a kind of a horror shooter kind of thing. I think that'll be cool on here. I don't know. I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit and just looking at the games, but there's some really solid stuff. Sekiro's on here. Been wanting to play that for a while. There's some questionable things like Valheim. Valheim, I think, would be good on here. Star Sand, that's kind of a first-person shooter. survival game. I don't know that I would play that on here, but there's plenty of stuff on here that is verified for it that just looks awesome and I would totally play. So there's plenty of games on here. Valkyria Chronicles, I've been wanting to play those. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff in here. So at the end of the day, I am totally glad I got this thing. It was worth the wait. It was definitely worth the wait. And I have really enjoyed what I've been able to play on it. From what I gather, the thing's gotten better with every update that they do. It does more games are being verified all the time. So it's just getting better as we go. I kind of wanted the dock for it so I could sit in the living room and everything. But then again, like I said, I just haven't had time, and I can play this thing on as it is, just hold it up, play it for a little bit and throw it back on the charger. So it's been a hit for me. And if you have one on pre-order, look forward to it. This thing is really cool. And if you have to like sit on a bus or a train or something for a while, or a subway or whatever, or if you have a lot of downtime where you at work or something, where this thing would be, this is perfect for that stuff, especially if you have a good Steam library. And there is a way to check what you have available, and you can, like I said, you can do this verified on Steamdeck dynamic thing and see what you actually have. I believe that's out of beta now and into the full version of Steam. So you can kind of get prepared on what games you want to play. And I went through and created a list and said, well, I want to play this and this and this. And then they came up with this dynamic stuff so I could actually see what worked on it. So then I deleted the other one. But I don't know. This thing is definitely a hit with me. I think it's fantastic. I think this is what PC crowd needed. Not the Nintendo necessarily, but the Nintendo style, where you can go and take your whole Steam library with you, or a big chunk of it. I think that's awesome. And that will do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you have a Steam Deck waiting, look forward to it. If you don't have one, the queue is only getting longer. But they keep ramping up production and making more. So that will do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.